Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy admits that plane tickets are expensive. And mall icon Bali will open soon. Dishub trials one-way traffic. Yes, down in Sanur. Stay tuned for details. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is June 6th, 2024. Selamat pagi, and my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? Well, it is a warm 31 degrees Celsius. Humidity is down to 63%. Wind speed is 4.5 kilometers per hour here in Kampung Bugis. And it is another lovely day. We did have some rain a couple of days ago. Unusual, but welcome actually. Not that long, but things were getting a little dry here, so it was nice to get some, but looks like we are definitely in the dry season. Lovely time of the year if you are coming to Bali. Good weather for you to travel around and see all the sights. And there's been a lot of news about the North Airport still, and I'm not going to go into it because there's nothing really new. It's just more people adding their opinions, ideas about the need or not need for the new airport, and a lot of news about people being deported. And we're going to have just one story about that, which the government, immigration, says they hope this serves as an example. And so we'll get into that too. And for those of you that are interested in getting out of Bali and seeing more of Indonesia, going to have something on Tambora in Sumbawa, where I used to live. And if you want to go to a place that is very natural, Sumbawa is a place to go, and great for surfers too. So that's at the end today if you want to see that. But let's get into the first story. Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy admits that plane tickets are expensive. Pak Sandiaga said that he'd conveyed to the Minister of Transportation about expensive plane ticket prices in order to achieve the target of visiting domestic tourists. Sandiaga admitted that he had experienced himself the high price of plane tickets for domestic flights. He gave an example when he wanted to go to Medan from Jakarta. The plane ticket was very expensive, so he flew to Singapore first and then from Singapore to Medan. And he said, it's ironic. Yesterday, I also experienced going to Medan via Singapore first. It was cheaper. Furthermore, Pak Sandiaga said that even though plane ticket prices were expensive, the number of tourist visits in the first quarter of 2024 could still be achieved. However, he did not provide further details on the number of visits during the first quarter. He said that his ministry is targeting the movement of domestic tourists to reach 1.5 billion this year. However, he said that if ticket prices do not decrease, especially for domestic flights, especially to tourist attractions, then the target for the movement will be adjusted for 2025. Previously, airlines such as PT Garuda Indonesia actually hoped that the government, through the Ministry of Transportation, could review the upper limit rates, called TBA, for airline tickets in line with changes in external conditions in the last 5 years. Garuda Indonesia President Director said the fluctuating exchange rate and aviation fuel prices were a challenge. These two external components, he said, have a big influence on cost. Therefore, we are also discussing with the Ministry of Transportation to ask for a review. This means don't increase the TBA for 5 years. This is the exchange rate compared to 5 years ago. How much is the price of fuel compared to 5 years ago? So we need to see some reviews. If the upper limit for airline tickets does not change or does not increase since it was set in 2019, he's worried that all airlines are going to face similar problems. He said, our proposal is more flexible regarding external conditions. We cannot control the exchange rate or the price of aviation fuel. We cannot also ask Pertamina to continually give us discounts. That's not how it works, right? So despite what Pak Sandiaga said, that the ticket prices are too high, does not look like the airlines are planning on lowering them anytime soon, which is unfortunate if you want to travel around the country. Although you could go a little slower, take cars or motorbikes and ferries and go island hopping. That's always an adventure. I used to love going on the ferry, not from Bali to Lombok, but from Lombok to Sumbawa. I always liked that. It was a shorter trip and lots of fun. Okay, so ticket prices. We'll see what happens in the coming future. Are they going to drop? Not likely, but there's always hope. And what about the second main story? Mall icon Bali will open soon. Dishub trials one-way traffic. The Denpasar City Transportation Agency, that's Dishub, together with a joint team from TNE, Polri, Traditional Villages, Service Villages, who are members of the Traffic Forum, have begun testing one-way traffic flow on Jalan Danau Toba, Jalan Danau Tamblingan to Jalan Danau Poso on Wednesday, yesterday. The one-way road is being implemented to anticipate traffic jams ahead of the inauguration of Bali Icon Mall, located on Jalan Danau Tamblingan, which is predicted to be the largest mall in Southeast Asia. And this has been disputed by many people on social media. Head of Denpasar City Transportation Agency said that currently a trial of implementing one-way traffic is underway, and at the same time, outreach is being carried out to the public and road users. The trial and socialization process will continue on until next week. If it goes smoothly, the implementation of one-way traffic flow on Jalan Danau Toba to Jalan Danau Tamblingan to Jalan Danau Poso will soon have permanent traffic signs. He said the end of the one-way flow is at the intersection of Lake Danau Tamblingan and Danau Poso. Jalan Danau Poso will still be used in both directions. He said, we're observing the movement of traffic over the next week, and if it's good, permanent traffic signs will soon be made. He said the one-way road is being implemented for the comfort and safety of the public and road users, because if one-way road is not implemented, there are going to be some major problems once the mall officially opens, and that has been a huge source of talk on Sanur forums on Facebook. And so if you are down in the Sanur area and you see some traffic things going on, you know what's happening now. And well, we'll have to see how that works out. If you've got any comments about that, leave them below. And I mentioned that a lot of deportations are going on, and here is one that immigration hopes will serve as an example about how serious they are. A mother and her 3 children were deported by Denpasar Immigration due to overstaying. Bali Regional Office of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights said that they have taken firm action against foreigners who violate the immigration law. This time, 4 Russian nationals, consisting of a mother and her 3 children, were deported from Bali due to overstay violations. They've exceeded the time limit for staying in Indonesia for more than 60 days. The deportation was carried out Tuesday, a couple of days ago, at 01:05 WITA at the airport on a Qatar flight with destination Denpasar, Doha, and Moscow. This firm action of deportation was carried out based on Article 78, Paragraph 3 of Immigration Law Number 6 of 2011. This article stipulates that foreigners whose residence permit has expired and are still in Indonesian territory for more than 60 days from the time limit of their resident permit may be subject to immigration administrative action in the form of deportation and detention. Head of the Bali Regional Office of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights said that this firm action was a commitment from his office in maintaining state sovereignty and enforcing the immigration law. He commented, "We will not tolerate immigration violations by foreigners who are in the Bali region." He also appealed to all foreigners in Bali to always respect and comply with immigration regulations in force in the country. "We hope," he said, "that this firm action can provide a deterrent effect for violators and become an example for other foreigners not to try to make similar mistakes. It is hoped that this deportation will be a clear message that the Bali Regional Office of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights will not hesitate to take firm action against immigration violations," right? If they're getting rid of a mom and her 3 children, they're pretty serious. They are going to continue, his office is going to continue to take preventive and enforcement steps in an effort to maintain state sovereignty and enforce immigration law in Indonesia. And so problems with foreigners are going to be one of the topics for debate that's going to be taking place before the election for the governor of Bali, which will be coming up in incoming months. And so it's going to be talks about immigration, talks about foreigners behaving badly, and the North Bali airport, and a number of other things as well. Okay, now, travel stuff. What about Mount Tambora in Sumbawa? Get to know Mount Tambora, history, location, height, type, eruption, impact. And I've seen Mount Tambora when I lived in Sumbawa. I was there for 6 years. It is pretty impressive. I never did go up, however. Mount Tambora is an active volcano which has a height of 2,851 meters above sea level. Mount Tambora darkened almost the entire Earth with its powerful eruption. Are you curious about this mountain? Let's look at all of the data about it. Mount Tambora, also known as Mount Tambam, is an active stratovolcano located on Sumbawa Island. The mountain is located between two districts, Dompu and Bima. It was originally formed on a continental edge caused by the support of the oceanic crust shifting onto the continental crust. The mountain has a volcanic cone hole with a diameter of 60 kilometers. Yeah, this is a big one. This hole often spews lava down the mountain slopes. Based on its history, Mount Tambora is classified as a type A volcano, namely with the criteria that it has erupted at least once since 1600 AD. Before its devastating eruption in 1815, Mount Tambora was stated to have erupted 3 times with an estimated time of 3910 BC, 3050 BC, and 740 BC. In April 1815, Mount Tambora erupted with a large eruption on the 7 volcanic explosivity index. And what about the big eruption? On April 5th, 1815, Mount Tambora began its eruption by emitting a loud bang that could be heard as far away as Makassar and Jakarta, and even Ternate, a distance of 1,400 kilometers from Sumbawa. On April 6, 1815, ash rain began to cover East Java with continuous erupting sounds until April 10, 1815. On April 10, 1815, Mount Tambora erupted more intensively, causing the entire side of the mountain to be covered with burning lava. Not only did the eruption of Mount Tambora rain ash on several surrounding provinces, it also rained stones, which destroyed many villages around the mountain. On April 17, 1815, the eruption of Mount Tambora finally occurred. The eruption of Mount Tambora succeeded in releasing volcanic ash nearly 40 kilometers high in the sky and forming a layer of ash as high as 1.5 meters in Sumbawa. The eruption also produced a caldera 6 to 7 kilometers long with a depth of 700 meters. The powerful eruption of Mount Tambora certainly had a number of impacts on human life and the surrounding environment. Following are some of the impacts of the eruption of Mount Tambora. The death toll reached more than 80,000 people. It influenced the global climate to cool the temperatures in Europe. Sumbawa's skies darkened over a certain period of time. The destruction of all plants and trees in Sumbawa, and the ocean was filled with garbage from objects that were swept away during the eruption. And it's said that because of this year without sun in Europe, and this reached as far as North America as well, because of that, the great novel Frankenstein was written during this period. So it is an impressive volcano, and as I said, very natural island, still not really developed. And so you want to go to Sumbawa and climb up Tambora? I'm going to talk about that right now. Mount Tambora climbing route reopens after being closed for almost 3 months. The climbing routes for Mount Tambora have reopened after being closed for almost 3 months due to extreme weather. As of June 1st, climbing trail activities are reopened. Paying attention to increasingly conducive weather conditions, he said, and the readiness of the locations of the 4 climbing routes, They have been undergoing maintenance, and so now all are open for visitors. Previously, the Mount Tambora climbing route was temporarily closed starting March 12th because of bad weather. The closure was carried out for climbing and non-climbing tourist activities. This bad weather included heavy rain, lightning, strong winds, which had the potential to cause fallen trees, floods, and landslides, and even cause rivers to overflow. So, for safety reasons, it was closed down, but it is open now. So, you want to visit? How do you get there from Bali? A couple of different ways. One is you can fly from here, Bali, to Lombok. You can take a car or a bus across Lombok to the end of the island, the eastern part of the island, and then catch a ferry to Sumbawa, and then you can catch a bus and go on to the national park. Or what's easier, if you're going to fly, is to fly from Denpasar into Sumbawa Besar, and then from Sumbawa Besar, you can get transport to the volcano. There are a number of hotels there that could arrange your transportation. And another way, the way I used to go, is to take a motorbike and go down to the harbor here and then over to Lombok on the ferry, which is 4 to 5 hours. Drive across Lombok. I always liked that drive. Get over to the port there, take the ferry to Sumbawa, and then drive your motorbike right across the top of the island into Sumbawa Besar, get directions, and go into the national park. A number of different ways to do that. And it is a trip well worth taking. And so that is it for today. If you're here on the island, I hope you're enjoying the good weather. And if you are coming soon, well, I think you can look forward to good weather. But it's going to be crowded. Lots and lots and lots of tourists coming. And I was over at the harbor a couple of days ago with my granddaughter and her friend having lunch on a Saturday. And wow, there were a lot of tourists there. Unusual at the harbor. And so it looks like it's going to be a busy season coming up. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe, and I will see you next time.